Good morning, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your first video blog of the day for Sunday, January 4th, 2015, around 7:27 in the morning in Billerica, Massachusetts. It snowed last night, about 2 inches fell on the ground, then it changed to rain. It's about 36 degrees right now, but later on today it's going to shoot up to the 50s with a chance of some rain showers. And to melt some of the snow away, this upcoming week's going to be cold. And maybe a chance of an Alberta clip on Tuesday with 1 to 3 inches. But, the cold's here. It's winter. Some news to report. The Chicago Bulls beat the Boston Celtics by a score of 109-104 last night in overtime. The Baltimore Ravens upset the Pittsburgh Steelers by the score of 30-17 in the AFC wildcard game. The Ravens will now be playing the New England Patriots on Saturday, 4:35 on NBC. Bob Costas is going to be in town this week. And also, the UMass Lowell Riverhawks hockey team beat the Merrimack Warriors by the score of 3-1. And 16 years ago today was the infamous Poke of Doom when Hollywood Hulk Hogan beat Kevin Nash for the WCW World title and at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. And Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and Pig Papa Pump Scott Steiner and Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, reformed the NWO Wolfpack. And also, that was the same day that on a tape Raw 6 days earlier, they showed Mankind beating The Rock with interference from Stone Cold Steve Austin to win the WWE title for the first time. And Tony Schiavone said this infamous quote that he says, if you're going to change the channel, don't you dare change it. We hear that Mankind, who once wrestled here in WCW as Cactus Jack, is going to win the world title. That's going to be put butts to their seats. A lot of fans just tuned out of WCW Monday Night Raw and watched Monday Night Raw. And that's about it on that. My first subject of the day is about some proposed changes of the Baseball Hall of Fame ballot that the baseball writers have been considering. The baseball writers vote into players into the Hall of Fame if they reach 75% of the vote total. And in this past July, in 2014, the baseball writers made their first amendment to the rule since 1991, which was to have every baseball player who was in that year have every baseball player who was ineligible from the Hall of Fame because of being from baseball's exclusion list to be ineligible for the Hall of Fame, and that included Pete Rose. So Pete Rose can't get voted into the Hall of Fame. He's barred from the Hall of Fame for life. And the 2014 rule says that players could stay on the ballot up to 10 years. It used to be 15 years, but they did this for 10 years because there's a lot of the players on the ballot who use PEDs or suspicious of using PEDs. Plus, the Hall of Fame ballot is getting stacked and stacked and stacked, and some good players are being kind of lost or removed, which are not supposed to be. And the candidacies of some of the borderline players need to be taken a look at seriously because they only have 10 years to be on the ballot, and then they get dropped and they get decided for the Hall of Fame committee. I like this rule change a lot because they don't want to get the sports writers do not want to vote the players in who use PEDs into the Hall of Fame. But there's a couple of proposed rule changes that the baseball writers of America are considering for the Hall of Fame ballot. One of the proposed rule changes they're considering is dropping the 10. The writers could only vote for up to 10 players. They are considering waiving that to maybe adding as much as 15 or unlimited amount of players, because some of the sports writers are saying if there's players 15 to 20 each year who are deserving to the Hall of Fame, they wish they could vote all 20 of them in, but they could only vote 10. And one of the baseball writers from ESPN, Buster Olney, says he's not going to vote for the Hall of Fame this year because he says there's 15 to 20 candidates on his Hall of Fame ballot this year, and he feels it's not right to leave 5 of them off. And that's a proposed rule change that's being considered. I think this rule change is that's a proposed rule change in my opinion. I like this proposed rule change if this comes to fruition. If there's like 20 baseball players on the Hall of Fame ballot any year that are Hall of Fame worthy, writers should vote them in. Writers should vote them in no matter what. If I was a baseball writer and if there were 20 or 30 players on the Hall of Fame ballot who are Hall of Famers, I would vote them in and stuff like that. I don't want to leave a baseball player out of the Hall of Fame that is only 10 and stuff like that. That's a good rule change. Another proposed rule change is considering dropping the 5% rule for players. If a player's on the Hall of Fame ballot and they get less than 5% from the baseball writers, they're immediately dropped from the ballot and ineligible for future consideration by the baseball writers, and they would have to go to the Hall of Fame committee for the Veterans Committee. This rule is, there's a lot of baseball players on the Hall of Fame ballot who never had Hall of Fame careers. I don't know how they get on the Hall of Fame ballot. That some of these players some of these players might get a vote or two by the sports writers, but they're not Hall of Fame worthy. But I think maybe the sports writers vote this player for the Hall of Fame, even though they're not going to get a Hall of Fame vote going to the Hall of Fame, because maybe that player did something to the sports writer. Maybe he showed up for their kids' birthday party or graduation or whatever, or like they spoke at like a dinner or something, and even though they're never going to make a Hall of Fame player, they just voted them for that. The 5% rule needs to really be looked at about eliminating it, but they should have a screening committee of which players who get under the 5% rule. 5%, maybe the players who are kind of worthy of maybe getting a second look by the baseball writers to keep those players on. Maybe keep 2, 3, or 4 players on each year who get under 5%, have a screening committee. A couple of players who've got under 5% in the years past who maybe had some chance of maybe Hall of Fame consideration is former Detroit Tigers second baseman Lou Whitaker, who dropped out of the Hall of Fame ballot after his first year, 2001, because he didn't get the necessary 5% of the vote, which was pretty shocking. Also, former Cleveland Indians outfielder Kenny Lofton in 2013, he got under 5%. A lot of sports writers says that was very shocking, and also Dwight Evans, former Red Sox outfielder, who was on the Hall of Fame ballot a few years, but he got dropped. And there's other players like Keith Hernandez, former first baseman of the Mets and Cardinals, catcher Bob Boone and stuff. Some of these players are not really Hall of Fame worthy, but they should really maybe have a second look, because there could be a candidacy built for them. Yeah, for the Hall of Fame. And the third thing that they should consider is maybe changing the way they do the Veterans Committee of the Baseball Hall of Fame to vote players in. They have 3 separate eras, like the expansion era, the golden age era, and the pre-integration era. Maybe they should have a rule that says that they could vote for, there's some guarantee that one person from each of those 3 eras gets voted into the Hall of Fame every single year, because they don't want to have a thing like in 2013 that there was no living inductee of the Hall of Fame being inducted that year to attend the ceremonies. That was the year where the baseball writers did not vote anybody in, and I think the attendance for the induction ceremony was very poor. So I would try to vote at least one person in each of these 3 committees each year to get into the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. And these proposed rules changes should happen because it would be good and fair to try to get players who are deserving into the Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame, the proper recognitions they deserve by the sports writers or the Veterans Committee. And that's about it on that. I'll be back later. Facebook friends and YouTube followers. 2 more video blogs. One is about the classic television show It Takes a Thief, and the third and final video blog will be about the Native American Tonka, former WWE superstar. Good day, everybody.